Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X-22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1477, and today's date is January 21st, 2018, and the title of the episode is The Covert Operation Behind the Turkey Operation, the Outmaneuvering of the Cabal. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded an interview on the X-22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel, so all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X-22 Report Spotlight. It is with Wolf Richter from wolfstreet.com, and you can view the interview right on YouTube, or you can go to x22report.com or newsentinel.com, scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side, you'll see the interview there, and you can play it right on the site, or you can go to Steemit. That is steemit.com. That's steemit.com /at X22 Report, and you can play the interview right on Steemit. Let's get right into the economic collapse news. Now, on Saturday, it looks like the government, they couldn't decide and agree on what they should do with acquiring more debt, because that's really what they're doing. They're acquiring more debt because the government at this point does not have funds. They don't have the funds available to run the government, so they need to continually borrow to run the government. And this is all about raising the debt ceiling. It's all about raising or adding to the debt that we have now. And our debt right now, which is what the government tells us is around 20 trillion, but unfunded liabilities, really it's around 200 trillion or so. And what's happening right now is this whole entire thing cannot be sustained. And we know they're going to go back and forth, and eventually what's going to happen is they will get the funding, people will get what they want. It's not going to benefit the people, actually, and we'll just be adding more debt to the entire system, which eventually what will happen is it will not be able to be sustained, and the whole system will come crashing down. And we've been watching the economy, and nothing's really changed since Trump came into office. Yes, he got rid of TPP. NAFTA's under negotiations, which that will eventually be canceled. But all of this is being prepped for when the system completely comes down, because the system that we're in cannot be sustained here in the United States and around the world, because the central banks are ready to move to a completely different system. And what Trump is doing right now, he's preparing the economy for this transition, not to keep this system alive. This system that we're in right now, this system is driven by the cabal, the central bank, and they use it to fund their missions. They use it to make themselves a lot of money. They use it to push their agendas around the world. And eventually what's going to happen, this whole system is going to come to an end, because the system was built on the petrodollar. And the petrodollar right now is eventually going to fail. And it looks like that time is coming very, very soon, because what we see happening out in China and Russia, we see that they've built their systems to mimic what is happening here in the United States. They created almost something exactly like the United States. It's the petro yuan, and they have the Shanghai Gold Exchange. The BRICS are setting up a gold trading system. And of course, what they're going to do is they're going to recalculate gold. And the price of gold is not going to be the same as it is today, because that is based on the paper price, paper contracts that was created by the central banks. And what they're going to be going to is they're going to be going to a system where it's going to be either backed by gold, or gold is going to be the confidence booster. And they're still going to back the entire currency on oil, and we can see that this is exactly what they're doing, and this is what they're setting it up to be. And the whole thing is transitioning to this new system. Now, again, it's still a central bank run system. I don't like this system. I don't think many people do like this system, and we see we're headed towards that area right now. Now, what's very interesting is that we're in the process of seeing the cabal being taken down. And we already see that tidbits of little things are coming out. And we know that this memo, which shows that, the FISA warrants and everything else was done to take down Trump at the time. They used a dossier. They hired Fusion GPS. They put it out there to try to stop Trump from becoming president. And when he was president, they tried to use it to get rid of him. And we saw this, and we reported on this all the way through, all the different things they tried to do. Every single one of them failed. And what is happening right now is that everything that they've done in the past is now coming to light, slowly but surely. Remember, Trump, those patriots that are in government, they know all of this information. Now, if they just dumped all this information on the American people, it would be too shocking, because most of the people, they're not ready to wake up. I know there's a great awakening happening right now, but the majority of the people, they're just not ready to hear these things. So you have to let it out very, very slowly, a little bit at a time. But what is happening right now is that all this information is coming out, and they're showing the world how corrupt this system really was and what they've done in the past. And this is just the beginning. We see already that Representative Dave Joyce announced that the House Intel Committee is already in the process to release the classified FISA memo that is so incriminating against the Obama administration and the Clintons and the rest that people are saying that this is going to shake Washington. And they're saying that this is going to be released in 3 weeks. Now, why does it take 3 weeks to release this document? I mean, are they going to redact it? Are they going to hide certain parts of it? We don't know as of yet, but this seems like an awful long period of time. Now, this might be that they're trying to get the American people ready for this bombshell. This is one of the biggest first ones that are coming out to the American people, and I think what's going to happen is they're going to give a little bit at a time to get people used to the idea of what really happened here. Now, if we go back in time, Trump said he was spied on, and everything that we investigated, everything that we talked about, all led back to Obama, Susan Rice, and the rest. And now all this information is going to come out. And remember, a lot of the people in the United States still look at Clinton and Obama like, they're incredible. They can do no wrong. And once this information starts coming out, well, it's going to be a whole new ballgame. And this is going to send shockwaves through Washington. Now, what's very interesting is that Fusion GPS founder, he admits that the FBI may have paid British spy to gather dirt on Trump. And they're saying that the FBI may have paid for the trip to Rome by former British spy Christopher Steele. Now, which means that they were paying for this information to get the information they needed. And we can see that a lot of this information is coming out. Now, another thing that's very interesting is that we had Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. They had text messages exchanged between them two, and the FBI did not preserve these text messages. Now, this is very interesting because they need to preserve these messages. They're supposed to put them away, archive them, and they're supposed to have them because these are official communications between two individuals. Just like the Comey memo, where he took it out of the FBI office, where again, that was classified, not allowed to do this, was not allowed to let a civilian see it, was not allowed to pass it on to the newspapers. But we're seeing that they're trying to cover their tracks right now. And what we're seeing is that they're hiding a lot of information. Mueller was sent into the government, into the FBI, to be the special counsel to do two things. One, try to dig up information to try to prove there was Russian collusion, even though there was no evidence ever about this. They knew this couldn't happen. The other one was to cover up as much as you possibly can before the investigation started, before they started to find out things. But it looks like the Patriots, Trump, found all this information way before this. And it looks like Mueller right now is just reeling there, trying to come up with anything. He's going, after people that lied to the FBI. Most of these people didn't do anything, but they're trying to keep the story going that, there is Russian collusion and things like that, while he tries to hide a lot of the information, which it looks like it is not working. Now, Strzok and Page, they are significant players in the Clinton and Trump investigations. As Deputy Chief of Counterintelligence, Strzok oversaw the Trump investigation when it was open in July 2016. Weeks earlier, he had wrapped up his work as one of the top investigators on the Clinton email probe. Now, both worked on special counsel Robert Mueller's Russian investigation until July of 2017. Page left the Mueller team prior to the discovery of the texts. The end date of the missing Strzok page text is also significant. That's because May 17th is the day when Mueller was appointed to take over the FBI's probe of possible collusion between the Trump campaign and Russian government. And remember, these texts are supposed to be put away in long-term storage. And it's supposed to happen automatically, which means somebody went in there and removed them, which is very interesting. Now, again, a lot of this information is going to come out. You're going to see even more information come out, and they're going to let it out slowly so people get used to the idea that these people were corrupt. These people broke the law. These people need to stand trial. These people need to go to jail. And this is what we're seeing right now. Remember, we do still have a battle going on between those patriots and the cabal, the deep state, and they're trying to both gain power and keep power in government. And it looks like the deep state cabal, it looks like they're slipping, they're losing power. And as they continually lose power, they're going to fight dirty. And we're going to see this very, very soon, where they're going to create or do something to distract everyone. They're already trying it. We're going to discuss that in a little bit. But we also see from declassified documents, it reveals that National Security Agency has been using secret speaker recognition technology to identify people by their unique voice print for more than a decade. Now, we talked about this a while back where we said they can hear you through your computer, through your phone. They can see you. This is why Comey puts a piece of tape over his video camera on his computer, on his phone, because he knows what they're doing. And they've been listening in to everyone, and their system allows them to identify certain people. Now, of course, they can't identify everyone, but if they can get, voice information on someone, they can recognize the voice patterns, and they know who's talking right now. And we see that Google is involved in this, and many others. And we see at this point, this is one gigantic spy operation, and this is all about spying on the American people, spying on judges, spying on government officials, spying on anyone they possibly can to blackmail them later on. That's what all of this is about. And they've been using it for a very long time. And this is the intelligence agencies. And of course, they're saying it's for our protection because of terrorism. No, the terrorism comes from the intelligence agency. The spying is on the people, the government, judges, and things like that to blackmail them. Even foreign government officials they're spying on to blackmail them to make sure they're doing what they want to do. It's basically one gigantic spy apparatus to make sure that their system stays alive, that they can control every single situation, to make sure that they understand what is happening, especially when they push their false flags in all different areas. But the cabal, the deep state, they are not finished as of yet. They're trying everything they possibly can. Now, we said they're going to create a lot of chaos. You're going to see a lot of news come out, and you're going to hear a lot of things that are happening right now, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to create distractions, and they're trying to build things up. They're trying to build war. And this is the greatest push that we're going to see for war, because they know they need it. And this is what desperate people do. They create a major, major event, and they're going to try to get us into war. And this is what they're doing right now. Now, the USS Hopper missile destroyer, it sailed within 12 nautical miles of a tiny island claimed by China on January 17th. And we can see already that they're pushing their agenda to get China all riled up, which I don't think it's going to work. But they're doing this, and they're putting it out there, telling, that they're sailing because of freedom of navigation and things like that, which the United States is really not even a part of. They didn't sign off on it. And we can see at this point, they're doing whatever they possibly can. North Korea was tipped off that something might happen if they sent a delegation to South Korea for the upcoming Olympics, and they canceled their visit. Now the visit's back on, and it looks like the North Korean delegation is heading to South Korea to check the venues for the performance scheduled next month during the Winter Olympics. And they sent a 7-member delegation. They crossed the border, and it looks like this might have been a possible false flag attempt, which was basically dismantled. And we can see coming from Q, he talked about false flag attempts and a major false flag attempt. And I think the major false flag attempt is the big false flag where the Cabal, the deep state, they have nothing left. They tried everything and they have to use the big one. Now, if he knows or she knows or the group of people know that this is coming, they're going to try to head this off. Now, we see already that the corporate media was out there pushing the idea that there's about 30,000 Kurds heading to the border of Syria. It turned out it's about 1,000. I think they wanted 30,000, but it was only 1,000. Now, a lot of people say, well, Trump's sending them up there. He's trying to separate Syria. Really? Well, let's think about this. He stopped the funding to the Free Syrian Army. He didn't invade Syria with U.S. troops, like after the missile launches. He stopped the funding of the Kurds, the Kurd army. Why in the world is he still going to try to separate Syria? It makes no sense. After he came out and said, no, we respect the sovereignty of Syria and Assad's going to be the leader for a very long time. It makes no sense for him to stop the funding of all of these groups. He would keep them on and actually support the Islamic State to make sure that they can split Syria. What is happening here is the corporate media is the mouthpiece of the Cabal, the intelligence agencies. They're putting out story after story after story, making people believe that things are really happening when they really aren't. Now, they were trying, are trying to make a move to separate Syria. Remember, for some reason in their heads, they never back down on their goals. They still want Syria separated. They still want to go into Iran because they believe that they're going to stay in power, that they're going to complete their goals that they set off to complete. And what's happening right now is they sent 1,000 Kurds up to the border, and the Turkish government, the Russian government, the Syrian government saw what was happening. This is why the Turkey representative flew to Russia to get their blessing on what they need to do. Now, the U.S., Trump is he is in on this. Turkey is in on this. Russia is in on this. And Syria is in on this. What are they doing here? They're not hitting the town, the city. What they're really doing is they're going after the ammunition of the Kurds. Where did the Kurds get all of this ammunition? Where did the buildup come from? The Cabal. If you shut this down, if you shut down the weapon depots or destroy them or whatever, you can stop what is happening. And we see that Turkish tanks, they crossed into Syria for a ground offensive, and they went after the weapon depots. They're going after the airport where the Kurds had control. And what they're doing, and this is under the guidance of Russia, the U.S. understands what's happening, Syria understands what's happening, and we can see that the Turkish airstrikes, they destroyed a YPG weapons depot. And at this point, what I think is happening is this operation that is happening right now is to get rid of the Cabal's weapons, to push them back. And we see already that the Kurds, the other terrorist groups that are working with them, they're already fleeing the scene right now. So the operation, the covert operation for the operation that Turkey is having right now is to damage the Cabal, to hit the terrorists, to get rid of their weapons, to push the Kurds back. And there's a reason for this, because we know the Cabal is intertwined with the Kurds. They want to separate Syria. And again, Russia's not going to let this happen. Syria's not going to let this happen. And the Trump administration, they don't really care about this anymore. This is not part of their goals. Turkey's going to be setting up a 30-kilometer security zone in Syria to protect the border area. And we see already that this whole thing is underway, and it's not going to last that long, because all they need to do is shut down their supply routes, shut down the weapons that are coming in, shut down everything that they built up. And this is exactly what they're doing. Now, of course, the Cabal, their plans were completely different. Their plans was to build this force up on the border, eventually separate the Kurd area from Syria, trying to establish a border around the entire area, and say this is now a new government. This is why Lavrov was out there saying they're trying to set up all these different governments within Syria. Because again, we go back to the original plan. This was their original plan, to separate Syria. And this is what the Cabal is trying to do. This is why Russia allowed Turkey to come in and hit certain areas. And this is exactly what we're seeing at this point. Unless something changes, unless something happens, I do believe that Turkey, once they destroy this area, the Russian troops, the Syrian troops are going to move into this area. Turkey is going to back off. And we see already that Lavrov and Tillerson, they're discussing the Syrian conflict in telephone calls, keeping each other informed of what is going on there. And again, the Cabal is in the process of being shut down in this area, which, when we look at the situation, now they're going to become very, very desperate because they are losing on all fronts. And we can see that with this memo coming out in the next couple of weeks, the time is really ticking down. And once that comes out, if it is what we think it is, it's going to be so damaging, they're not going to be able to do anything. So within the next couple of weeks, we might see something huge. I mean, something still might happen in Syria. We know, going way back, there was a tactical nuke that was snuck into Aleppo. Who knows where it is at this point? They might use it. We don't know. We also know that they're trying to push something in North Korea. They already attempted some type of false flag or some type of an event during a meeting, but that was kind of shut down. We also have the Olympics coming up very, very soon, and something could happen there. So there are many different areas where the Cabal could launch their event, which could be a major false flag attempt. And this is what we are watching right now. But we can see that the Cabal has just been outmaneuvered. And this was done to shut them down, to basically shut down the support of the Kurds. And this way, they don't have funding anymore. They're not going to get weapons. The U.S. is not going to be backing them. And this is a way to covertly shut all of this down. And this is pretty much what we're seeing right now. And we're going to have to see how the Cabal reacts, because believe me, they are going to react. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.